All right, welcome to the Ramsey Dewey Podcast. Ramsey Dewey Podcast I think it's number 22 for the long-form interview-style podcast. We're here today with TJ, the owner of the UFL Gym. TJ, thank you for being here at your own gym. Kind of a strange thing to say, but thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Ramsey. It's also your gym, so...
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, I coach some classes here at the UFL Gym. Come check it out, Shanghai, China, after we reopen, after this whole coronavirus outbreak is cleared up, which hopefully happens sooner rather than later. So, TJ, you have an interesting story as far as martial arts and training goes. You lived in Europe for some time training in martial arts and kickboxing and MMA. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. My background, actually, I raised up in China, in northeast part of China, Shenyang, until 18 years old. And then I moved to Sweden, Stockholm. At that time, I was a student to study at the university. Before I went to Europe, I trained a lot of Chinese traditional martial arts and also Sanda, a Chinese form kickboxing. And then when I moved to Europe, first month, I met a guy training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He showed me a little bit ground game, and at that time, how martial arts picture changed in my mind, and then I began to the martial arts, mixed martial arts.
Yeah, man, Jiu-Jitsu is great for being an eye-opening martial art like that.
Yeah.
Man, I remember my first experience with Jiu-Jitsu. My coach at the time, I was training for an MMA fight, and I had no grappling experience. I was making this transition from a kickboxer to an MMA fighter, and I thought, I didn't take grappling very seriously. So I stepped into this Jiu-Jitsu gym because this friend of mine invited me. He was a coach there. He does a double leg takedown, puts me on the ground in a guard position. He says, all right, what are you going to do now? And I thought about it for a second, and I realized by the time I came up with any ideas, I would have already taken substantial damage. And the honest answer was, I don't know. I'm a fish out of water in this position. And today, if you've seen a few UFC fights, everybody understands that's how it is. You need to be well-rounded. You got to know how to grapple and strike and clinch and all this other stuff. But there are tons of people out there, especially a lot of viewers of mine on YouTube who are starting out in martial arts or who train in a kung fu style or a karate style or something like that, a very single emphasis style. And they haven't had that experience. They haven't had that rude awakening. So what was that like for you, that first jiu-jitsu class?
Actually, it was not... First time I contact jiu-jitsu is not via class or something like that. First time as I say, I trained a little bit before I went to Europe. I thought I was tough enough to challenge many European fighters at that time. I thought I went to different gyms. I didn't know even the name of the gym, but I told my friends, please help me to pick some gyms. I want to go there to train. Actually, in my mind, I want to go there to kick some ass. And then, as soon as in the beginning, I think in the first 5 gyms, I really kicked some ass in the gyms. Okay. And they thought, oh, this Chinese guy is really Bruce Lee style. He is tough. And then I don't know exactly. I think in the 6th or 7th gym, the gym's owner actually is my long time friends now. It's in the late of 1990s, and he told me, okay, I don't need to pick you up, and then we go to the gym. We can have some sparring in outside the garden, and then we began. Suddenly he took me down, gave me submission times by times. I didn't know the whole the grappling game, so that's the first contact. And then after that, I asked, what did you train? He told me it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But at that time, it's very few people, few gyms to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Even in Europe, in the late of 1990s, his gym actually trained karate. And the owner of this gyms, I just mentioned, he's my friend now. He loved train cross discipline. So he knew a little bit jiu-jitsu, just a little bit. He beat me. So only very, very basic mount and then armbar me many, many times. So really amazing.
And it is shocking what you can do with a very remedial knowledge of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to people who don't have that ability. So did you have a background in martial arts before you went to Sweden?
Yeah, I train Sanda, and then I train many traditional martial arts. I follow my family's footstep. My mom trained Tai Chi, and then my father trained some Sanda and boxing. So I could say I can stand up game at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a question. This is something that I've had a bunch of discussions on the internet about, and I don't really know the answer. In China, the sport is called Sanda, right? Free fight.
Yeah.
Before I came to China, anytime anyone would talk about it, they would call it Sun Shou, free hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why it's so common in the West to call it Sun Shou, but in China we call it Sanda. Why is that? Do you have any idea?
I think actually Sanda in China is more official name, as you say, and Shanshou I think is connection with karate, because in karate we say in Chinese we say Kung Shou Dao.
Yeah.
So Kung Shou Dao means empty hands martial art, and So has more famous name than Da. So it makes sense, right?
That's interesting. So you think it might have been like a marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, but it's same thing. Actually, I think even Sanshou or Sanda is not very Chinese traditional martial arts. It's also
sure.
came from Japan because Japanese they create a Japanese kickboxing, and then later on Chinese news about it, and then create a similar one. Then of course we merged a little bit Chinese traditional martial arts, but it's still.
Yeah, that's interesting. All of the Sanda camps and sports universities I've visited, the Sanda teams, they all cross-train.
Yeah.
They all cross-train in boxing and wrestling, Muay Thai, Taekwondo. When I went to, they were really big on Kyokushin karate, cross-training. And one did a lot of cross-training in Taiji Chuan. It was like the only one that actually had a base in Chinese traditional martial arts, like at all, which kind of blew my mind. Because I'd always heard Sanda was Chinese kickboxing. And when I first got here to China, one of my big goals was to train in Sanda. Yeah, I thought I'm going to China. I love martial arts. I want to learn like the national combat sport of China, Sanda, isn't that it, right? So I got here, I looked everywhere. Couldn't find anywhere to train. For the longest time, like in the West, there's this idea that everybody in China knows Kung Fu.
Yeah.
That everybody's an expert, that there are Kung Fu schools all over the place. And the reality is, it's not that. So I searched high, I searched low. I didn't find much. I eventually did manage to train with a few Sanda teams. One in Jiangsu province. I did a bit of training with at the Xi'an Sports University. Visited the Shanghai University of Sport, and a small team in Liao City, Shandong province. But yeah, it's, in my experience, it hasn't been very easy to find Sanda camps. How popular is Sanda right now for like the average person in China?
Actually, it's not so popular. not so popular at all. Comparing to Europe, I've been living in Europe in 16 years and then went back to China 3 years ago. So I can compare in many European countries, there are really many of gyms spread in society, but here in China, not like that. The real martial art gym actually managed by the government, managed by the sport governing,
Right.
and then
Like the Wushu Federation?
Yeah, the Wushu Federation, the Sport Federation. Not so many people had chance to train martial arts as a hobby at that time. But there are really some cities in China has stronger martial arts culture than others, which are in Henan province and also in my hometown in Shenyang province, in Liaoning province. There, the culture is a little bit stronger than other provinces. So in general, it's not so popular at all. But it's also because the history, the Chinese cultural evolution stopped almost everything, not only the culture but also sport. Cultural revolution stopped even very common sport like boxing. Before Chinese Cultural Revolution, there were boxing teams in China, but after Cultural Revolution, nobody trained. They dismissed every federation here in China. So,
yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned that. I never really thought about the state of boxing in China until a few years back. I was speaking with some friends of mine who were boxing coaches. And they got really excited about this upcoming match between a Chinese pro fighter and I don't even remember who he was fighting, but it was a really big deal to them that there was a Chinese contender for a title at some point, because apparently that hadn't been the case for a very long time. So I read, actually I heard that there were about 10,000 total sport university students majoring in Sanda throughout the entire country of China, which might sound like a lot if you're from a country with a smaller population of a few million, but considering how big the Chinese population is, that's like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
That's like people who study, say, I don't know, modern dance in the United States, which I did.
Okay, yeah.
Small group of people.
Yeah.
So man, Shenyang, I was up there not too long ago for Kunlun Fight. They had a show out there in the desert. Man, that was crazy, because generally they put everybody up in a nice fancy hotel, great accommodations, and this one it was camping. It was roughing it out in the desert. Man, it was cold. It was. I gotta ask, did you grow up out in the desert?
No, I grew up in the city. But the fight was outdoor, or?
It was outdoors.
Oh,
outdoors in the freezing cold.
Oh my God!
I felt bad for these fighters. They're out there trying to warm up. The first couple of guys who went in there with their shirts on because they were so cold. And the referee's like, "Take it off." He's like, "No."
Oh, that's a little bit risky for knockout.
Yeah.
Also.
Oh yeah, fighting cold is one thing. Fighting frigid is another.
Yeah. So that's maybe the reason many people doing fight preparation in Thailand. They don't need to warm up. They need to only 5 minutes warm up and then begin the real training.
It's always warm in Thailand, man.
Yeah, here in China, but different. People say also the warrior country came from the colder country, like Russian and so on. So I don't know which is true.
Yeah. Man, speaking of warming up in Thailand, man, the first time I went to Lumpini Boxing Stadium, this is before they remodeled it, I was shocked at how small it was, because it's like the most famous Thai boxing stadium in the world. The Lumpini Boxing Stadium champion belt is one of the most coveted prizes in Muay Thai.
Oh yeah.
And it's so small, and the fighters are like literally warming up right next to the audience, and you can walk right past them and brush shoulders with them if you want to, and you can smell the Thai ointment coming right off of them. It's a very, very intimate gathering that really shocked me, because I'm so used to, like, the American idea of combat sports is if it's big, if it's the best prize in the world, it's this giant sold out stadium like the UFC or something. But it's a massively different culture there. Have you been to Thailand?
Yeah, I've been there. I love Thailand. I love training in Thailand. Thai boxing is really great martial art. I really want to discuss this part also, because in China or in Asian, like Thailand, Japan, and China, there are really lots of maybe China is a little bit Japan and Thailand is a little bit ahead Chinese fighting industry. They really have a lot of small events. Those events, really lots of people can enter the stage and fight. Just like you say, Lumpini is really a very famous stage, but still some people, some not very matured fighter can fight in that stage. Not like in Europe, in USA, UFC is really for the elite of the elite. It's not for the normal people, but it's different culture. In Japan, I also read a lot, and I know a lot about the Japanese culture. They arrange very frequently small events in Tokyo. Not
like
only
the Shuto amateur organization.
Not only in the big arena, but also in very small arenas. I think this is good for growing the popularity. Is from downstairs up. It's not only the government saying, okay, we need to do this, and then.
Man, that's such an important aspect of growing the sport of MMA. Like in the US, there are tiers to fighting. There are tiers of amateur fights, like entry-level amateur, like guys who are about to go pro. There are entry-level professional shows all over the country. And then there are like the big leagues, the UFC, Bellator, and so on. But in China, we don't really have that. There's no entry-level MMA. It's like you're kind of tossed in with whoever they can find, and they might be a national Sanda champion or a jiu-jitsu black belt or something like that, and you might be thinking, I just want to get some experience. I just want to learn how to handle myself in this sport. Isn't there like anyone at my level? Once in a while, you'll see like a inter-gym smoker fight or competition or something like that, but man, if the UFC was smart, and Dana White, I'm throwing you this idea for free, take it please. If they were smart about promoting the sport of MMA in China, which is something they really want to do, they've invested heavily, millions and millions of dollars, like building the sports
performance center
here in Shanghai, the UFC Performance Center, and just investing tremendous amounts of resources into trying to develop fighters. What they really need to do is invest in amateur competition. Get the average person excited about the idea of, hey, maybe I can do that too. It's not just for the best of the best, if you will. It's not just for the national champions. Maybe the average person can develop a skill set in this.
I totally agree, Ramsey. That's my passion also. Not only we have many goals in UFL brand. This is one of our goals, is to grow the popularity of mixed martial arts in China by doing small events, not big event, but small events. We already have some that you have been fighting our gym twice or once, and you've been a referee for our fights. We hold small events in our gym now, and later we will hold small events outside in a little bit bigger event arena, but not that cannot be like UFC. I think we want to give entry-level people access to mixed martial arts stage, just like you say, they need to compete in early age, not because if they don't compete frequently, they cannot compete high level. So
and that is huge. I'm asked so many times, like, how do I get good at mixed martial arts? How do I get good at combat sports? How do I get good at fighting? And there's a lot to that, but one of those variables in that equation is as frequent as reasonable exposure to the thing that you want to get good at, which is fighting. So I often tell people your first 10 fights are going to suck. Your first 10 fights are going to be terrible, even the ones you win. And the reason for that is you're going to be dealing with all kinds of variables besides, technique and athleticism. The things we train for at the gym. You're going to be dealing with performance anxiety. You're going to be dealing with, just carrying yourself in front of a crowd, in front of all the variables you can't train for at the gym. The people cheering and booing, oh, you suck. Just whatever people say. Or the ring girls. There's no ring girls in the gym. That can be very distracting. I know it sounds funny, but it really can be distracting.
You have to experience that.
You have to experience the ring girls. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That came out wrong, probably. But there are just tons of variables that can distract you from the purpose of fighting. And
do you have some ring gear experience from your side?
Oh, man. When you said that, I thought about my very first pro kickboxing match. And it was actually the first time I ever got in a boxing ring. I had done taekwondo and karate competition and all this traditional martial arts stuff on open mats my whole life, but I'd never actually stepped into a boxing ring until my first pro kickboxing match.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to get in the ring. And I thought, what do I do? Climb over it, roll under it? And so there's a ring girl holding up the rope so I can get through it more easily. Yeah. And I just crawl on the floor on my belly. And everybody's just laughing. I'm like, what did I do? What did I do wrong?
That's the experience. That's the true experience.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's one of those things that, you might goof up all these incidental things. And if you let the audience's perception of you, if you let the laughter, if you do something goofy or you do something unusual get to you, it can affect your performance.
So that's also, we really push our fighters, our members to go to competition, not only to of course for winning, but also to gather the experience in the very beginning. So important, very important.
Indeed. And also there are so many guys who think they know how to fight. I would say the average person thinks, at least the average man thinks he is 9,000% better at fighting than he really is. And that first experience stepping in the ring with a real live person fighting back, especially someone their own size who knows how to handle themselves in a fight, that's a whole different situation. It's an eye-opening thing, which can humble somebody incredibly and get them thinking, hey, I need to train. Or, get them walking out trying to keep their ego intact, saving face, as often happens.
I agree. I totally agree. That's the true martial arts gives people. Martial art gives people humbling, give people how you discover yourself. The real you is via you fight and nobody can help you. So
man, it's a different kind of helplessness. The first time I cornered a fighter, it was so different from actually stepping in a ring or stepping in a cage, which is this whole different type of isolation, because you realize, okay, it's up to me, nobody's going to help me, nobody's going to hold my hand, I have to win this fight by myself. But when they lock that cage door and you watch your fighter go in there, it's the sense of helplessness, I can't go in there and do it for them. I can't rescue them. I mean, they either know enough or they don't at this point.
So what do you see as team sport, or you see as only men? how to say, a
Like a solo sport?
Yeah.
You know, when I started out, I thought of it as a solo sport.
You started solo in the beginning?
And that's probably why I didn't do very well when I started out in combat sports. Because again, I thought it was a solo sport. I thought it's all about me. It's all about what I do. I have to be the one to do everything. And I didn't understand the value of a coach. I didn't understand the value of a good gym and a good team behind you. I did a lot of gym hopping back then. And it wasn't until much later I really started to learn the value of a good coach, a good team, and I realized, no, this is not a solo sport. It is a group endeavor. Like every consistent success you see in combat sports from anybody at any level is a team effort. I mean, there's a whole team of coaches, the sparring partners, the strength and conditioning coaches, but in addition to that, it's the people that support that fighter.
Yeah.
You know, their friends, their family, their fans.
Because I came actually, even I train mixed martial arts. My background is also have some traditional background, martial arts. They really emphasize the family, the good martial arts community culture. Even not only now, but also in very long time ago. So in China, the only these terms we call 师兄师弟师傅 comes from fighting, comes from martial arts. So 师兄 means you're my big brother. 师傅 means you're my 师傅. And 师弟 means you're my little brother. And this actually came from martial arts, and then later on transferred to all kind of industry, even in other sports, they call it same thing. So martial arts really give people the family feeling, and the real the real, how to say, the real, you have to follow the real tradition martial arts rules. Also is important, because in the long time ago, China is a really tough country long time ago, and now it's a really safe country. So this kind of tradition has been disappeared a lot. So nobody talk about martial arts culture now. So our passion is also want to rebuild this kind of culture, to give people, this is a good culture, this is a good value. Give people this good value means you have to respect people, you have to respect your teacher, and you have to respect your competitor. So UFL, our gym, also represent this kind of value and this kind of community.
Yeah. Man, that reminded me so much of the recent UFC fight between Zhang Weili and Joanna how the heck do you say her last name? Jedrzejczyk.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful. And Polish fans, sorry for pronouncing your fighter's name incorrectly once again. Anyway, Joanna and Zhang Weili, the weigh-ins, that shocked a lot of people, because Joanna was getting up in her face, doing the whole trash-talking thing, trying to intimidate her.
The big forehead.
Oh, yeah. Even before that, like before the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the weigh-ins?
I see. There's really two very different fighters, very different personality, and very different culture.
And Zhang Weili, she does the palm fist salute. You know, very respectful. If you don't know what that means, it's essentially, well, I've looked up a number of explanations of it. But essentially, people do this to say thank you. People do this to say I'm at your service. Yeah,
respect.
It's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
Like if a fighter walks into a ring, Chinese fighters, they will make this sign, the palm fist salute, to the judges. They'll make it to the audience. They'll make it to their opponent.
She came from mixed traditional martial arts. She trained many traditional martial arts, and she trained, I think, Zhang, and she trained Tai Chi. She trained also Chinese wrestling. Yeah. So she is really fostered by tradition. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I saw that weigh-in, I thought how incredibly Chinese. What an incredibly Chinese reaction. Like she didn't allow herself to be, caught up in the moment of negativity. Instead, it was just, and then she uttered in English, "Shut up."
Yeah.
So simply.
I really love this
man,
girl. I really love this girl. Not only because she's from my home country, she won the battle and so on, but also really I love her mentality, her style. Her style is a good role model style. I like her style better than Joanna's style, a lot better, much better, because I think in the real the nowadays mixed martial arts industry came a lot of like Joanna. They talk a lot. Actually, they're really good. They're really good fighter. I agree. The fighting ability is really high. But Zhang Weili not only bring a high fighting ability, but also a very high educated style.
Yeah.
She talk very calm. She give everybody respect. She give everybody a hug after the training, after the fighting, and she never trash talk anyone. I think this is the real, true martial arts role model. Should be. So in our gym, we educate people also in that way. Not only training, but also educate people to be a humble guy. To be you don't need to be aggressive to be to beat people.
Yeah.
You can be humble and still you beat people. So
Exactly, man. Exactly. I get this comment over and over on my YouTube channel, like, how are you a fighter? You're well spoken. You're polite. You're smart. That doesn't compute. I'm like, how does it not compute? You need to talk to more fighters. Like, there are a lot of fighters who are highly intelligent people, highly educated, well spoken, polite, nice to you.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I think there are probably more professional fighters who are nice to other people than average people. Because average people, like I said, overestimate themselves in a fight and are more willing to be confrontational with others, whereas somebody who understands the ramifications of real violence is going to be much less likely to engage in a fight for free. They're not going to look for trouble outside of the ring. But speaking of like the Chinese mentality on sportsmanship is so interesting and so vastly different from what we often see in the West. Did you ever see the Ultimate Fighter China edition?
Long time ago, I think so. I have some friends was in that event. Yeah.
It was. If you didn't see it, I think you can still see it on YouTube. They got Kong Li to come over to China and to like officiate as like the host of the show.
He's good.
And if you're not familiar with the Ultimate Fighter, well, they get a bunch of fighters to live in a house. It's a reality TV show. They usually try to stir up some drama, and these young guys, looking to make themselves famous, are often very willing to push the envelope and act inappropriately. Let's just say that. But the Ultimate Fighter China version was so radically different because all of these guys were super nice, super polite.
Yeah.
They're just always like, just acting like brothers.
No
basically.
drama. No drama.
No drama at all. Like, I could see that, like, the producers, sometimes they would flash over to the guys behind the camera and they would just look worried, like, how are we going to sell this? There's no drama. There's no infighting. There's no arguing. They're just super polite. Like, there was this guy, I don't know, I guess they were trying to start some drama because they had a yoga instructor, like not even a fighter, on The Ultimate Fighter. And I guess they assumed that everybody would be mean to him because he didn't know how to fight. And he gets in the ring to spar. He goes for a few seconds. He gets hit and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And And all of the guys come into the cage and they're like patting him on the shoulder like, it's okay, it's okay. We support you. We understand you. We support you. And this is like...
no drama. It's
no
just
drama
a love.
at all. Exactly. Just love and holding hands and friendship.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the American TV producers are pulling their hair out like, no, no, we can't sell this in America. This is not what we wanted. We wanted drama and kung fu and instead they got they got a documentary about how nice guys act around other nice guys.
Yeah, you know how to create drama here in China? I think you know that. In the beginning of 2000, they create drama by sending Japanese fighters to the ring.
Yeah.
And then people just, now it's the real drama.
Yeah, man. For anybody who lives outside of China who isn't familiar with the historical context, there's been some long-standing rivalry between China and Japan. And so when there is a Japanese versus Chinese fighter in mainland China, it's a big deal. The audience gets very involved, very vocal. Like at a recent Kunlun fight event, I was commenting at there was a Japanese fighter. As soon as he came out, everybody in the audience woke up, started making some noise. Every time the Chinese fighter landed a punch,
Oh yeah.
Every time the Japanese fighter did something good, silence.
Yeah, that's also saying the Chinese fighting industry is not mature yet. It's in the beginning stage, and now I think everything become better and better. And in the beginning, I know some organizations, fighting organizations, they went to the language school to pick up some Japanese.
Okay.
Who was never fought any fight before, who was just an average people, and saying, okay, here is 50,000, 20,000, and then I buy you, fight my Chinese fighter. You only can lose. And then, yeah.
Oh man, I had a student once, this guy from Kazakhstan who was an incredibly good fighter, very talented, very skilled, but he was also very poor. He needed some money, and so he got an offer from this fight promoter to throw a fight. The fight promoter wanted to fight him in this fake fight, and the promoter was this fat, out of shape guy, didn't know how to box, or it was supposed to be an MMA fight. Guy didn't know how to grapple, didn't know anything, but he wanted to make himself look good, so he pays my student some like 6,000 RMB, something like that, to throw this fight. That's about $1,000 US, for anybody wondering. Anyway, and again, my student, he needed the money, so he agreed to it. He only told me about it after. The video was hilarious, and I'll tell you why. So they made this agreement. They kind of choreographed what they were going to do beforehand. They were going to come out, throw a couple of punches, bob and weave a little bit. And then the promoter said, in the second round, I'll hit you in the stomach, and then you fall down. My student's like, okay. He's like, make sure it looks good. So the promoter is so out of shape, so fat, he barely makes it through the first round. He's like huffing and puffing, and my student's like trying to carry him. Like,
oh my God.
It's so obvious he's just trying to carry this guy through the fight. And the guy like stumbles on the ground by himself without even getting hit. God. Round 2 starts. My student's like... He's like, okay, hit me now. And the guy's like just gathering the strength to come across the cage to hit my student in the stomach. He's like, and he gives us like the wimpiest punch you ever saw, like tags him in the stomach. There's a delay of like a couple seconds, and my student's like, and he just falls down on the floor. And it's, oh man, I wish I had that video. He showed it to me. It was the funniest, fakest fake fight I have ever seen in my life. Like WWE has nothing on the fakeness of this fight.
Okay, even better than WWE.
Oh yeah,
even faker. Yeah.
But man, I've been witness to a number of fixed fights over the years. Man, there are some people who will do anything for money.
But recently, situation changed a lot.
Yeah.
There are really a lot of good fighting events,
yeah,
organizations. So it's just like everything. We need some time to mature the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has come a long way. Like when I first came to China, it was if you were a foreigner, it was impossible to get a fair shake in a fight because they would put you against a guy like 3 weight classes above you, and then the referee would step in and give the other guy a break if he needed it, and just all these little things to try to, tip the scales in one direction. Now we don't see that as much. I have seen it a couple of times recently, but at the very least, there are some reputable shows out there, some reputable promoters in China who are doing a good job of that. And even better, there are some really good referees and judges in the sport right now.
We need good referee. We need good referees.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend Schofield Wong. He's a fantastic guy. Leads a group of referees who do ref work all over China. So anytime I see him or any of his crew officiating an event, I'm like, this is legitimate. This is a legitimate event.
I think also with difference between the age also say a lot. The more older the public are, the more time we need to educate them.
Yeah.
The more younger the public are, the less time we need to educate them. So in the nowadays in the now situation, the coronavirus, Chinese and Japanese people, we gather together, we fight together. But for very very easy in my generation, even younger generation, we don't have hate. We really love each other. We really love each other. But in the a little bit older generation, they still keep the feeling longer. So
it's hard to change feelings like that, man. It is. But as far as educating the masses on a fight, there was a book written by Ken Shamrock. I think it was called something like Into the Lion's Den. And Ken Shamrock, he was one of the original UFC fighters. He fought in UFC 1, UFC 3.
Oh, yeah.
But he was also a professional wrestler.
Yeah, he fought catch wrestling before, right?
Yeah, he did catch wrestling. He did
in Japan or something.
WWF back in the day. He fought in Japan in pro wrestling matches there. And he talked about that in this book, about basically training an audience to expect certain or to accept certain techniques. Like, for example, in Japan, they would do a lot of leg locks.
Yep.
And the audience was trained to recognize a heel hook was a dangerous move. So when they saw a wrestler going for a heel hook, they would cheer or they would boo. They would react because they recognized it. But in the U.S., in WWF, the audience wasn't as well trained to recognize the heel hook. And so they would do these more inventive, flashier, bigger moves, like the camel clutch, for example, the Iron Sheik used to do back in the day. Just very over-exaggerated. Now, how that relates to MMA is that, how can I put this? Have you ever watched an MMA fight with somebody who didn't know what MMA was?
You mean the fighter, or you mean the public?
Just like watch a UFC event with people who don't watch UFC.
Yeah, yeah.
And what do they say? Like, why are they just hugging? Why don't they just hit each other? This is so boring.
Yeah. As soon as grappling involved, they don't understand.
Yeah.
As soon as only boxing and kicking, they understand. Okay, the violent, the real violent, they understand.
Exactly. Like if it goes to the floor, they'll start shouting, "Stand him up, ref," because they're not trained to recognize that as legitimate fighting. And so for the longest time, here in China, I remember I had a fight, and this hasn't only happened to me, it's happened to a bunch of people I know. I had a fight where I caught this guy in a triangle choke, and he taps out, and then the referee stands us back up and says, "Fight." I'm like, "Wait, I just won. Fight." I'm like, "What's going on?" I catch him in a triangle choke again.
Oh.
He taps out again. The referee stands us up again. "Fight." I'm like, "What is going on? I just won this fight twice." Third time, same thing. And again, I've seen this again and again. Like 10 years ago, this was fairly common. Now the referees know what they're doing. But 10 years ago, it was fairly common that even the referees wouldn't understand what they were looking at.
Oh yeah. I remember the first UFC Hoist fight some boxing guy, and the referee could not understand. I remember that, and I think the boxer tapped without any submission. The real hold, the real lock. I think he just got panic and something like that. It's really a very young sport, mixed martial arts.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the most interesting moments I had as a ringside commentator, I think it was it Zhang Li Peng? I think I'll have to look that dude's name up, but he's been doing MMA for as long as MMA has been in China. He's fought like everybody basically in China, and so he had this fight against a Russian fighter at Kunlun Fight a while back. It was an MMA fight, and the fight ends up on the ground. Zhang Li Peng, he's in his guard, and I always feel like I have to explain what's going on as the commentator for those who don't understand the sport. Like, okay, he's pulled up the guard. What he needs to do is like this and this or whatever. And then he pulls rubber guard. And I'm thinking, okay, there's no way this average audience is going to know what rubber guard is.
Eddie Bravo.
Exactly. They don't know what 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu is. So I start explaining the system, and then they cheer. I'm like, wait, they're cheering. And then he goes to the next progression of the rubber guard. He goes from Mission Controlled in New York to Chill Dog, and each progression along the way, they cheer louder. And I say, they know what this is. They know what this is. And when he starts progressing he clears the shoulder, and he's on his way to setting up a triangle choke, and they cheer louder. And I'm trying to explain, like, what he needs to do is this and that, and they get it. They get it, and he clears the shoulder, and he sets up the triangle choke, and he bumps his hips, and he breaks the posture and sinks the choke in. And the whole time, they're cheering louder and louder. And this was my first experience. But
you think they knew that because you explain, or they knew that before you explain?
I doubt it, because I'm the English commentator. They have Chinese commentators who are probably explaining the same thing in Chinese, except that's for the pre-recorded shows. Like the commentary that I do, it doesn't come out live. The commentary that the Chinese commentators do, it doesn't come out live.
Okay.
Like
before
they just
the fight.
What the audiences are seeing and hearing. It's for post-production. What they're seeing and hearing is exactly what's happening in the ring, and that blew my mind. I was like, they get it now. They get it.
I think it's interesting, very interesting, because now there are many fighting events, mixed martial arts fighting events in China, but I mean many comparing to a long time ago. But still, many publics coming from different gyms. Nobody come from outside. Almost nobody come from outsider. So as soon as if it's only like we from inside gyms going to buy the tickets, it will not be great. I would like to see people from outside to go buy the tickets for UFC or one championship to see the fighter, to see the fighting. Then this industry become bigger. So maybe that's saying also every public in that fighting event, they understand because they coming from different gyms. And from different gyms, sometimes, almost all the times, they don't need to pay. They give tickets to different gyms to fill in the arena. To fill in the arena saying, okay, this area, this section belongs to UFL. Please help me to fill in. 100 people, thank you.
Like recruit the fighters to sell the tickets.
And then...
this is a really common thing that a lot of shows do in the U.S. To allow fighters to make some extra money. Like, we'll give you like a 10-20% commission on every ticket sale or something like that. And some of these guys, man, they sell out these arenas because, man, they want to make that money.
Okay. The situation is a little bit different. Here, they don't need you pay. They come here to our gym saying, okay, here's the free ticket. Just help me to fill in the arena. And then if they find 10 this kind of a little bit bigger gyms in China, they will fill the arena, fulfill. So on paper, in the picture, it looks very good. but nobody paid.
Yeah, man. It's kind of confusing. I knew some guys, some Canadian guys who wanted to do a MMA show here. That I think they did like 11 or 12 events. The Rough Rannick Ultimate Fighting Federation. I fought in their first show, and they had a really hard time with that because they took a look at some other fight shows and saw they had these massive sold out arenas with like 10, 20,000 people in them. They thought, oh, must be easy. And then their first show was like nobody there. They're like, what happened? We did everything right. What happened? But yeah, there's the actual sales numbers and then who actually shows up. I remember there was a kickboxing match I did once, and after the show, I was just walking through the arena, and I picked up one of the ticket stubs for like a front row seat, and I look at it, it's like it has a price tag of like 2,600 RMB on it.
Wow.
Yeah, like 2,600 yuan. What is that in US dollars? It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a pretty expensive ticket.
Yeah.
I'm like, people are paying this to come watch me fight? That's nuts.
Almost $4,000, something like that.
Less than $4,000, but
Yeah.
it's hundreds of dollars, like hundreds of dollars to sit front row for this kickboxing match in the middle of nowhere that wasn't even advertised that well. In my estimation.
I see. I know that. It's no sense to to take a look that the real number is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After which, though, I was thinking like, man, how much did they make? How much did they pay me?
They pay
if
you.
this ticket is accurate,
Yeah.
I need more, man.
Yeah. So everything needs a developing period.
Yeah.
Here in China, I think it's very exciting to live in a developing period rather than a developed period. Here, everything is opportunity, and I read the news from yesterday. Zhang Weili's fight.
Yeah.
There are different platforms to live sending the fight. One is PPTV, and maybe there are many others. And PPTV paid UFC 50 million yuan a year.
Really?
Yeah, 50 million yuan per year for the UFC fight, all fights. And that's the PPTV pay for UFC per year, 50 million. And only yesterday, PPTV got I think it's 400 million in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because of the Zhang Weili fight.
Yeah. They bought the pay-per-view.
So
Not
PPTV
pay-per-view.
is looking
Actually,
at the long-term investment here.
Actually, it's not a pay-per-view. Pay per month, pay per year. You pay 100 per year. Yeah, you pay 100, something like that. Then you can go into the PPTV to see the whole year UFC.
So it's a yearly subscription.
Yeah.
Okay.
So almost everyone paid per year yesterday, or maybe somebody.
Oh, that is so interesting. So they kind of had a slow, rocky start.
Yeah, they sold out 400 million per day.
Based on this one fight. Wow.
Only yesterday. So it's a really big business.
Yeah, this fight answered a lot of questions. Like something I got asked a lot on YouTube from the viewers is how big of a name is Zhang Weili in China? And I didn't know what to say because the sport of MMA is still
very small.
Very small.
Yeah.
It's a niche sport here in China. But the fans are very dedicated. Like the fans absolutely know who she is, but the average person probably not.
No.
But 400 million.
Yeah.
That answers a very important question there. Like,
yeah.
Is she a marketable commodity here in the People's Republic of China? Absolutely, yes.
Just give you an indicator. In my WeChat friends, I think roughly I have 50-50. 50% of my friends who post Zhang Weili's fight yesterday are not fighting fans.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know what WeChat is, WeChat or Weixin, it's the most popular Chinese social media accessible through your phone. You can even, there are computer apps as well, but it's everything in China. Everything social media
in China. And
WeChat.
people can say WeChat is Facebook plus Twitter plus
Yeah,
Instagram
Plus, you can pay your bills. You can shop.
Yeah.
You can use it as for money.
Mhm.
Like everything you do through WeChat here. So
So 50% of those people who post, I love Zhang Weili, it's a great fight. Those people I know, they are my friends.
people who don't even watch UFC are watching this.
They
now.
never train mixed martial arts. They never touch martial arts. So 50% coming from outside. So
Wow.
yeah, roughly.
That is incredible.
Mm.
Wow. Man, I remember having a conversation, doing a podcast with my friend Rob, and it was a fascinating podcast. We went on for like 4.5 hours, one of the most underviewed podcasts I did. And he asked me, and this was way before there was a Chinese champion in the UFC. He said, how would you train a Chinese champion? How would you go about creating a Chinese champion in the UFC? And I thought about this, and I stammered through a couple of ideas. And he basically laid out the formula that Zhang Weili followed to a T. I mean, the guy is kind of prophetic in his his predictions here, but yeah, that same formula that she followed. So, man, let's talk about the actual fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, we can't put it up on the screen because of copyright infringement laws and all that. But one thing I noticed that Zhang Weili did really, really well, from round one all the way through the end, was every time Joanna would throw a kick, and she has this habit of ending combinations with a low kick, which is very common from fighters who train in like the Dutch kickboxing style. Zhang Weili would counter with a straight right, which is such a simple counter.
Yeah.
But man, she landed so many of those.
That's the reason it caused
Yeah.
the forehand
Oh
swelling.
man,
Yeah.
oh man, Joanna looked like an alien after that. I mean, there are so many memes sprouting up about that. I mean, I hate to bring that up because I've been disfigured after fights as well, and it sucks. Nobody likes that, but man, that was something to behold. And it's one of those fights where if both fighters came through at the end without facial disfigurations, the audience might be arguing, oh, Joanna won, no, Zhang Weili won, she got robbed, whatever. But nobody's saying that because we can all clearly see, yeah, one of these definitely did more damage than the other.
Yeah. Actually, from my perspective to seeing a mixed martial arts match is how many different kind of technique has been used in this match, and I almost only see. We talk about Zhang Weili's fight. It's only kickboxing. It's only kickboxing, or we can say it's only Thai boxing.
Sure.
It's only stand up, just a little bit grappling.
Yeah, Zhang went for a few takedowns.
Yeah, some takedowns, but
not a lot of control on the ground, but she got the takedown, so definitely won over the judges.
Even both you and me, we love jiu-jitsu. We love jiu-jitsu. We think jiu-jitsu is the really fun training, really funny, really good. But still, yesterday fight, I also take a carefully look about other fights. Almost only one fight finishing by the choke, the arm triangle choke. Every other fight, there are really many fights, 20 fights, and only one jiu-jitsu.
Man, when you have a well-rounded fighter, a fighter who understands grappling and striking in every range of combat really well, they get to pick and choose where that fight ends up.
Yeah.
So, in the case of Zhang Weili and Joanna, both very skilled strikers, both very intermediate grapplers.
Oh, yeah.
I would say Zhang has the edge in grappling, which she definitely demonstrated with her takedowns, but not to the point where she was able to dominate on the ground.
She's technique, maybe, I don't know. She's technique is okay, high level, but not very high. But she is strong.
She is a work in progress in that regard.
Yeah, but she is strong, stronger than Joanna. So
yeah, that's one of those fights people asked me for predictions beforehand, and I said, well, Joanna is a volume puncher. Like she generally throws like 300 or 400 significant strikes and lands them in every fight. But at the same time, she's generally not putting people away, generally not knocking them out. And so it's either going to be a very long decision with a lot of scrappy punches landed, or it's going to be a relatively short fight in favor of Zhang Weili, because, man, she is powerful for that weight class.
Yeah, I think she can, if we can give Zhang Weili some suggestion, I think she has a really lot of good coaches, but I think...
Hear that, Zhang Weili? We got some new coaches for you right here.
But still, she's very good, and I see her standing up skills.
Yeah.
Probably is going to be stagnant. At that level, she will have difficulty to get up to the next level. Next level will be the world class, the top, maybe Anderson Silva's level. Just can pick the right timing and knock you out. And Zhang Weili is still not there. She's level is not basing on the real counter. The counter here, she did very well.
Yeah, she played a very high-risk game.
Yeah.
For example, throwing the right hand after the leg kick. She ate a lot of those leg kicks, but dealt damage back in return. So it was like an exchange of damage. Whereas, like you said, with Anderson Silva, he was about avoiding the damage.
Yeah. But her wrestling can prove a lot. And her ground and pound is already very, very good. I see a lot of her fight, but still, I think because her length and height and the body type, so she can. I think my advice, maybe she can stay in US to improve the wrestling, then come back to China.
She's already built like a grappler.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing as that, which there kind of is. I mean, if you look at collegiate wrestlers, they have a certain look, most of them.
So,
with some rare exceptions like Kyle Sanderson.
Yeah, it would be very, very, very great if she can stay in US a couple of months and only improve the ground and pound and wrestling part, because there in your country really a lot of really, really high level grappler.
Yeah.
And those people, they really can implement the wrestling to MMA, not only like other country. I don't say other countries is bad, but you have already proved that.
Yeah, the U.S. is different. A lot of countries have wrestling as something that you can do, but you got to go out of your way for it. Whereas in the U.S., it's in high schools. Like children do wrestling throughout school, and then it's in colleges. They've got collegiate wrestling, and it's not just. It's not just, there's the Olympics and a couple of random people who train at an Olympic training center. It's like everybody who wants to wrestle has that opportunity if they go to a public school, which is free in the U.S. So it's something I never really thought about until I moved out of the U.S. and I realized, man, nobody else really knows how to wrestle. Like everyone in America, I shouldn't say everybody, but a significant percentage of the American population knows how to wrestle. A meaningful percentage of Americans know how to wrestle. But the same isn't true for the Chinese, for example. I mean, they have fantastic Olympic training facilities and sports universities and whatnot, but that's an exclusive group as opposed to the average person.
Yeah. That's differentiate two countries. One country is only a top level, another country from the whole population.
Yeah, which brings us back to that thing you were saying before about the need to establish a ground level, entry level MMA competition, something regular that people here in China can participate in and get excited about, that can feed into the bigger leagues. I had a friend, a guy named Mike Stidham. He had this show called The Ultimate Combat Experience. That was actually my first, the first show I competed in for mixed martial arts. And he did this show every single week. He put on professional fights every single week.
Wow.
And now I say professional, but all combat sports in Utah at the time had to be professional. Because it was overseen by the the Utah State Athletic Commission, which was a boxing commission, and they had some weird regulation that all kickboxing and all MMA fights had to be recorded as professional. And so, fortunately, Mike was a really good matchmaker. So he would match up, guys who didn't know anything against other guys who didn't know anything, professional fighters, like guys who were actually dangerous against other guys who were actually dangerous. And so, man, matchmaking is so incredibly important. I've seen so many lopsided matches in China, like an English teacher fighting a national Sanda champion, and that never goes well.
No.
Nobody's happy about that,
No.
man. The Sanda fighter, he's not happy because he didn't get a good challenge. I mean, maybe he's happy about the paycheck. The audience isn't happy because they didn't see a good fight. And the English teacher isn't happy because he just got killed.
Yeah.
So, man, matchmaking makes fights. Yeah, Mikey did this show every single week, and he put on like over 400 fight events with like 10 fights each, so probably like 4,000 fights. And because of the sheer volume of that, he essentially transformed the state of Utah, which was known at the time for skiing, deserts, Mormons, religious people, very conservative people who, like the last people on earth you would think of associating with cage fighting.
Okay, yeah.
And he turned this place into a mecca of mixed martial arts. Suddenly, all of these people like Jeremy Horn opened up his elite performance gym there, and like Matt Hughes came to train there.
Wow.
Frank Trigg, all these big names in the UFC were training out there with him. And all these other gyms started popping up so they could be competitive in this show. Like, we want to compete in this show. We want to create fighters. We want to establish a name for ourselves. And so these gyms would end up competing with each other through Mike's show to show we're the best gym. No, we're the best gym. And because of that, they all got better. And so we went from nothing, which was very much the case China was in 10 years ago, to, a place where there's a jiu-jitsu black belt on every street corner with a jiu-jitsu academy and a mixed martial arts gym. And it's a whole different situation there now. And I would absolutely love it if something like that happened in China. Like, the sport's progressed here, but very slowly. So TJ, if you wanted to increase the rate at which mixed martial arts grew in China, and the sky was the limit, resources, no problem, what would you do?
What kind of rate you mean to increase?
Just get people more excited about it, develop new talent here. Well, let me make it a more concrete question. I'm going to ask you a similar question to the one my friend Rob asked me. If you were to train another Chinese champion, another UFC champion from China, what would have to happen?
I think those two questions you ask link together. My answer is, if I have unlimited resource.
Unlimited resources, no problem.
I would like to build good platform and good system, not only for platform for fighters, system, program for young kids to successful step by step, how to say that, progressively.
Yeah, progressively makes sense.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Not only in a sense of martial arts fighting, but also in a sense of living standard. I would like to give everybody involved in the game to reach the top level a good pay, a very good pay to match the people's hard work, because nowadays it's not a good match.
Yeah.
Lots of really good martial artists like you, Ramsey, like many other peoples, you work hard, you put really lot of time and sweat, invest even money in those things to learn and to spread the martial arts, but many of you still get less pay than even than the average people. Sometimes. So I think we have to create a model. We have to create a business model to let this kind of business flow until if I have enough resource, I will use the resource to create this flow. I will not use the resource only to sponsor people. Sponsor is not good. I would like we in our industry we make money by ourselves, but also we need a good investment and to create good role model like Zhang Weili, like you, like many other people to give everyone outside and see, okay, this is a good job. This is a good future for my kids. I would like to send my kids to school, to this martial arts school, let them train, educate my kid until he can get a well-paid, education, good life.
Yeah.
And then we create a good circle. This is what I want to do. This is what the passion behind UFL also. Even the bad situation can happen, like now, the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I think we have to stay together. My gym, I never, we keep everything same. I pay everything same. I give every year my coach everything is 100% same as before. This is what I can do. So.
Yeah, that's not a common thing right now in Shanghai. I know a number of coaches who ended up getting laid off because of this situation, like lost their jobs or weren't offered a return position afterward.
Yeah.
And then there are a lot of gyms out there scrambling, looking for coaches. Like I just got contacted by this guy saying, "Hey, can you come coach at my gym?" I'm like, already doing something there. But man, a lot of the big name gyms here in Shanghai, man, they're scrambling.
Yeah. So to answer your question, this is the ideal future I would like to see.
Yeah.
So we create a good cash flow, and also the cash flow goes to the right place, not to the. Maybe we need to regulation also to regulate how much money every different role to get to have like in Singapore they regulate every single jobs. If you work as a lawyer, the lawyer federation every year to give a report to the government saying, okay, this year the lawyers average pay is this much.
Oh, so it's like a union.
Yeah, and
so basically you're talking about unionizing fighters.
Yeah, every union give government a report.
Now this is something a lot of fighters in the U.S. are trying to do, like fighters who compete for the UFC, because a lot of those guys, as long as they're fighting, they're insured, but if they don't have that fight, they're uninsured. And so if they get like a training injury or something, they're out of luck. And so a lot of these guys are trying to unionize to basically say this is our full-time job, like training is part of the work. And so we need to be compensated for that. But the UFC's not having that right now. But that would be so interesting if a Chinese entity was able to create a fighters union like that.
Yeah,
that would be huge, man.
Yeah, I would like to
especially
see
in this
that.
country where so many of the fighters are just really poor guys who don't really have any other options.
Yeah, and also the ideal martial arts school is we have to have some sort of wise people to educate members, not only training but also lifestyle, but also the spread the right value. So that's very important, because I see it's a big lack in many schools, in many martial arts schools, they only train people fight. They never talk with people. They never communicate people how they should talk, how they should learn some other language, how they should, nothing. Only training. Only like animal. train, and then put on a
very little emphasis on how to be. I think mixed martial arts gets a lot of criticism by folks on the internet. I get this a lot from people who see my channel for the first time. They see the word MMA, they see red, they're like, oh, those guys are just a bunch of brutes. They're not real martial artists. They don't know the way, if you will. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to be, basically. And that doesn't have to be the case. It absolutely doesn't. I mean, there are some tremendous role models in the sport of mixed martial arts. And there is potential for so many more. But I like what you're saying. Like, just recently we had a meeting with our friend Saulo about jiu-jitsu culture. And bringing that into the gym here. And so much of that was about respect and uniformity and basically being a cohesive team and so on, and that brings so much value, not just to the training and to the gym environment, but to everybody's personal experience. I think.
So, and I also think we need cross-border talent into the industry. We don't only need, so for a moment, it's very obvious. Is you are a fighter, and after you being a fighter, you be a coach, and after being coach, maybe you own a gym. So it's a very you begin as a student, and then you teach a little bit, and then maybe you open a gym. I think we need people from outside to go coming into this business. So like they have to see the opportunity of this business. They have to see, okay, this is a good business opportunity. Not only all the fighting business controlled by the fighter. This is not correct.
Oh man, I often say this. Artists are terrible businessmen, generally speaking. Martial artists included. Like people who are really good at their craft generally are terrible at marketing it, at selling it, at making money off of it, at distributing it, at sharing it with the world. I mean, there are some fantastic musicians out there that you have never heard of, who are technically way better than the famous people out there, but you've never heard of them because they're terrible businessmen, right? There are, oh man, in all the former Soviet republics, there are so many beastly good fighters. Like I've trained since I've been here in China, I've had the opportunity to train with all these guys from all these former Soviet Republic countries ending in Stan, like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. Everybody is really excited about the Dagestani fighters from Dagestan right now because of Zabit and how skilled he is. And they're asking, like, if this skinny guy from Dagestan is this amazing, who else is out there? And all of these guys that I've trained with, even the worst of them were still pretty good at fighting. Like they all knew how to box, they all knew how to wrestle, they all knew sambo, they all knew how to handle themselves at a fight. They were all very athletic, and I talked to them about it. It's just part of the culture to train in many of these countries. But at the same time, nobody's ever heard of them. Like outside of Zabit and maybe one other guy from that part of the world, nobody's ever heard of them. Because again, artists are terrible businessmen, generally speaking. So like you're saying, yeah, absolutely. We need people who excel at that aspect, who are not purely self-interested, who want to see the sport grow, who want to see it develop.
But important is the guy to control the whole business or organization or a community. The guy control the thing should has the passion. If the guy control the thing doesn't have the passion, only think about money, only think this is a good money,
that never ends
then
well. I've seen that so many times, man. So many I knew a guy. He's a real estate mogul here in China. He's very wealthy, does very well in real estate, and he is a fan of the sport of Sanda. Like he really likes Sanda, and so he wanted to open up a gym, and he did. And this was like 10 years ago. He set up this beautiful gym with the best equipment. It was huge. He spared no expense on it, and nobody came. And he invited me to come train there, and I trained there. I was like the only one in the whole gym, and nobody came. He just didn't know how to run the fight game, and I told him, okay, look, I can help you advertise this. I know people who will come. I know fighters. I know enthusiasts of the sport. And his response was, it's not making money right now, so I'm just going to cut my losses and invest in something else. It's like, that's not how it works. You gotta play the long game with this.
Oh yeah. This is many this kind of people. They are jumping from one business to other business. They are really business men, but they without any martial arts passion.
So they want that money now, and that's understandable because in their line of work, that's how it works. But
I think we need a passionate owner, and then have a different kind of professional. Then the owner has a professional supporting. Yeah, that's the good combination.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Establishing the fight game here in China is the long game. It is a long-term pursuit. Like I got to ask you about this. I mean, when I first came to Shanghai, and I opened up my first MMA gym, which wasn't too far from here actually. It was like pulling teeth trying to explain to people what I was trying to do. Like they would say, so what do you do? And I'd say, I coach the sport of MMA. I have an MMA gym. They were like, what is that? It's cage fighting. It's like, boxing, but you can wrestle and do jiu-jitsu. And they'd be like, but why? Why do you need to do that? Well, why not just boxing? Why not just wrestling? Like, it was so difficult selling people on the idea that this is something that people might want to watch or do or participate or enjoy in any way.
So
it took years to get to the point where people started to really open up about it. What was your experience as a combat sports coach and gym owner here in Shanghai?
I think everything needs time. Even you came here to China earlier than me, coming back to China or earlier than me. So you opened a gym earlier than me here in Shanghai. At that time was tougher than now. Yeah. So the right time means there should be some people in the very beginning did something, give us benefit. So you did something, give every other MMA fighter, gym owner benefit.
Yeah,
and then
built the foundation.
Yeah, you build a really strong foundation, and then right now you do the next foundation, which is online foundation. Yeah. I think this is very good. You communicate, you share your value to everyone, not only in a small gym. In a small gym, is only maximum cannot be 500 people, more than that. Yeah. But via WeChat or YouTube.
Yeah,
channel.
YouTube. This is also going out live on
different Chinese
social media at the same time.
So it's so difficult in the beginning. I can understand that. I have other business experience. I did lots of other business. Even you have a good idea, the first 100 people is only the first 100 people you only build foundation. Yeah. And then only the 101, the number 101 begin to gather the money. And actually he only watch you to build the foundation. So it's very interesting. But I think it's so important that we have a long-term vision. Both you and many other our good friends, we think long-term. So in long term, I think guys like you can get many good return back than those people are just waiting for the good opportunity then go. So because you do this constantly every day, and the real businessmen they don't do constantly. They make break. Yeah. They
like
make
vultures swooping overhead, waiting for something to die.
Yeah.
Let's see what I can eat now.
Yeah. So it's
That sort of thing.
and waiting for the right opportunity is so critical for a business sense.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not so good to invest money in MMA. At the same time, it's good time because not so many people doing that, and if they coming to invest in MMA, they can get a bigger share than later on. So it's
Like the
both
PPTV deal.
yeah, both good and not good. But I agree, it's so tough in the beginning. Everything is so tough in the very beginning. So, yeah.
Yeah. So where do you see UFL, your gym, let's say 10 years from now?
10 years? Yeah, we have 20 years plan. We have 10 years plan. We have 2 years plan. Of course, we have 1 year's plan.
He's a man with a plan, guys.
10 years. I don't know if I will say that and send this information to our, how to say, rival, the competitors.
Oh, the competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to delineate the exact business model or anything like that.
But
Just like where we headed. Basically.
yeah, no, but actually the goal is to be the #1 Asian mixed martial arts gym in 10 years. So this is the goal. And then later on we have, I don't want to share the other, we have to go until the best of the best gym in the world. But 10 years, we should be #1 in the whole Asian. So this brand is not only a gym brand, it's also, we will do fighting events also. So we will do fighting events. We will do our podcast channel. We will do lots of things. We will also have cross-section program with other industry, like entertainment industry. I think it's so important, like people have fun to watch our program. Right now, I think it's only hardcore fun watch you show.
Yeah.
Later on, if we can put some bikini girls behind us,
Girls.
yeah,
Oh man.
maybe some other.
Would that increase the viewership of the podcast on YouTube? Yeah.
I would like to do some cross section
Yeah.
together with other. I already in my in our Chinese channel. We have Chinese channel via WeChat, via other platform. We have plan. We already invite many other outsiders. They are dancer. They are singer coming here, doing cross content program. So it's
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid to make lofty goals like that, like saying, I want to be the best in the world, which you've just said. A lot of people are terrified of that because they think, what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't happen? But the thing is, you have to make lofty goals. Like, you absolutely have to. And I'm saying this as life advice to anybody listening. Make exceptional goals if you want exceptional results. If you want to go as far as you possibly can, man, set the bar high. Set the bar high. It may be that maybe you don't jump over that bar the first time or the first 20 times or the first 1,000 times, but man, you keep working at it, you will go farther than you ever thought possible. But you have to set lofty goals.
It's also coming from our background, from competition background. I compete a little bit in the early age. as soon as I still have that kind of mindset. If I don't want to be number one, why I go into the competition? If I only want to be the number 10 of the world, why I do that? I cannot understand. And every day we train, we imagine we can be the number one. We can be the number one in where we do. So this is.
And I would say one of the biggest regrets I have as a fighter was that I wasn't competitive enough. Like, I went into fighting to make an extra paycheck, and that was my primary motivation. That was my goal, just to get that extra paycheck after every fight. But looking back on that, retrospectively, if I could just kick myself in the butt and say, get in there and win, just have a winning mentality. I mean, just be a competitor. Oh, man. That would have changed an incredible lot. And I'm not just talking about performance. Maybe I would have won more fights. Okay, fine. Who cares? That's all in the past. But the regret of not being competitive is probably the biggest one I have as a coach today, because I find myself trying to find that vicariously through my students today, like encouraging them to be competitive. And it's not quite the same, is it? You got one chance, basically. You got one chance in your life, if you will, to do what you need to do, to compete. And by one chance, I don't mean only one fight. I mean, you might have a whole career, but that career is your chance. It might be long, it might be short. My fighting career was cut short due to an injury, but man, set lofty goals is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Set lofty goals.
Yeah. So, I think, I don't know, I never think about different people can have, sometimes I thought everyone have the same goal. It's very interesting. I thought in my competition background, I thought everyone had the same goal. Everyone want to be number one. I never think some people has less.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. So
there are people who show up for all kinds of reasons. Maybe they just want to test themselves and see how they do in a real fight. Some people want to be the champion of the world and nothing less. And, everybody has these different goals. And for me, it was just about the paycheck. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Now my goals are very different. My goals are very different. I mean, when you're starving, when you're hungry, it's hard to focus on anything except the carrot dangling in front of your face, man.
I agree. It's also maybe because when I was very young, I watched a lot of heroes movie. I want to be a superhero when I was very young, and every night at my young age, I let me dream I will be the hero. I force me dream like that.
Yeah.
I go to the bed, I say, please, tonight's dream is I will be the hero.
Okay. Like lucid dreaming. Wow, there's a whole science behind that.
If I was dreaming other things, can be a good dream. Can be I date with other girls and something like that. But still, I see it's a bad dream. I want to be a hero. I don't want to have romantic. I want to be a hero. So it's very interesting. I dream like that in many years. And then every time I go to the ring or go to some sparring, I feel like I'm so powerful. Even I got hurt. It's so difficult to, I think it's a little bit difficult to keep this kind of high confidence with humble, humbleness.
Yeah. Finding that middle path.
It's so difficult. Sometimes you get loose and then you go home cry.
Pride is a cycle, man. It's a cycle. Like when we don't have anything, when we're brought down to the depths of humility, we look up for hope. We look up for answers, and we work our way out of it. when we work, we experience prosperity, we have success. When we have success, we're like, oh, good job, me, pat myself on the back, I'm doing good. And then we get pride again, and that pride leads back down to a fall, and we're back in the pit again, like, help, let me out of here.
Yeah.
Everybody is susceptible to that.
Interesting.
So it's about finding that balance where we don't have to be humbled in order to be humble, man. It's so important for fighters. I think it's important for everybody. But man, if you want to be successful as a fighter, I hear this from casual fans all the time, and it's something I think casual fans get right. When they can notice that a fighter is getting too big for his own britches, getting too cocky. They're like, man, I used to like this guy, but he's just full of himself now. What happened? He's not the same anymore. And pride goes before the fall, as the old aphorism says.
I think if our gym in the future, we can deep study everyone. We have many members. We just opened 1 year, our gym. So if we can deep study our members, every single one, and take a look and have a long conversation with them and say, if the answer is the member A saying he come to gym because he feel he need this aggressive. He needs this aggressive. Yeah. He needs to somebody push him.
He needs that outlet. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs somebody push him. He always draw back, and then our program, our coach should push this guy more. And if the guy come here, like we have some guys very cocky, very tough, and very play macho.
Yeah.
Then case study, and then we let them be humble. They will help everyone. So our program should be individual program for everyone. I think because just yesterday or 2 days ago, because the Chinese situation, we cannot train. We cannot have...
Shanghai is closed right now, basically.
Yeah. So we have a program saying our members can have a free one-on-one conversation with coach. One-on-one conversation with coach, long period, maybe 1 hour. And then we give them a feedback based on what we know, what they looking for. So I think this is good. We should do that regularly after the situation turn better.
Yeah.
But now, just because we don't have any other things to do, then we do this.
That is interesting. How you've taken the initiative to do like online coaching, basically.
Yeah.
Which is cool, man. It's cool. Especially like I said, a lot of these other gyms are just like essentially folding. Like, we can't do anything, so we might as well just give up. But not us.
Yeah. Many things we can improve now. So
it is so important to focus on what you can do instead of what you can't. If you only focus on what you can't do, I remember when I was younger, I fell into that trap so many times. Like I didn't have money to do what I wanted to do, so I would think, I can't do it. I can't do anything. I can't do what I want. And my older brother, he pulled me aside one day, and he had a very well-paying job. He had a lot of money. He could have handed me some cash and just taken my problems away temporarily, anyway. But he saw my real problem wasn't a lack of money, it was the mindset.
Yeah.
And he gave me something much more valuable than money. He said exactly what I just said. You need to focus on what you can do instead of what you can't. And at first I was like, oh, that's not the answer I wanted. But it's the answer I needed.
Yeah, give me money.
But it changed my life, man. It changed my life. I started realizing that's not what I need. If I focus on what I actually do need and what I can do, man, then I can take control of my life again. So many people out there, they feel like they have no control in their lives, and I find a lot of people come to martial arts because of that, because it gives them a sense of control when they learn to control their own body in new and interesting ways, when they learn to control a wildly resisting opponent trying to hurt them, when they learn to control the violence. But there are different levels of control. Martial arts to me is very much, it's a microcosm for the rest of the world. when you learn the deep principles you can learn through martial arts, that transcends fighting. It transcends the gym, and it goes into every other aspect of your life, I think. There was a novel, I don't know if you've read it or seen the movie based on it, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, man. It's a funny novel, but science fiction. There's this scientist on another planet, and he invents this machine which analyzes a piece of cake. And it looks very closely at all the molecules and the atoms in this piece of cake. And by analyzing all of the molecules of this cake and how the gravity of the planet and the stars and the moon and the rest of the universe affects this cake, he is able to reconstruct a model of the entire universe. So basically he makes this computer simulation or something like that and copies the entire universe down to the very last particle based on very closely analyzing this one piece of cake. And at first, it's kind of played up like it's a joke in the book, but I thought about that concept, like, you can actually learn a great deal about everything by learning everything you possibly can about one little thing. For example, in martial arts, when you learn everything there is to know about martial arts and combat sports, I mean, you, for example, you've learned business, you've learned to be a gym owner, to be a mentor, to be a role model. What else? I mean, when was the first time you taught a kids class?
Maybe half years ago, something like that.
Yeah, and I watched you teach a kids class a number of months ago, and you are really good with kids, and that is a talent that you have to develop. Like teaching kids classes is not my favorite thing because I don't really have that skill set. It's something I'm working on. But man, TJ, I watched him teach. I'm like, man, he is really, really good at teaching kids. Like, phenomenal. And that's something that he learned through martial arts, pedagogy, teaching. What else can martial arts teach you? It can teach you about anatomy, physiology, kinesthesiology, science, chemistry, medicine. All of these different aspects of sciences go into that as well. What else? Social aspects of social intelligence, how to interact with other people, how to read other people, how to communicate more effectively with other people. I mean, martial arts,
That's the reason why there are so many people, so many wise people in many, many countries. They already think about to put martial arts in a school program. I mean, should be a must. So even I know there are really lots of people working very hard to put Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts in the USA school. I read the interview about John Danaher. He tried hard. I think he will have success on that. He will try to put Jiu-Jitsu on the New York school.
Oh man, John Danaher would do that, wouldn't he? Man, I love John Danaher. It's like listening to a nature show host, like David Attenborough. Like, I don't know if you've heard his documentaries. He's this English man who does nature documentaries about animals and whatnot. He's fantastic. John Danaher is like that, but for jiu-jitsu instead of nature. Yeah. It's amazing. I love his instructional tutorials.
So here in China also, we have some friends also doing that, and we also trying to do that. I hope the society will give also our chance to begin to let us educate people. So that would be great.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, probably getting close to the time here for the podcast, but yeah, anything else you want to talk about or shout outs you want to give while we're still here?
Yeah, not so much. I think the most important thing is I think we keep going even this tough situation now, tough period, and me and other people, we also want to move online, not only because now it's really bad to only do the offline business. So online, we will learn from Ramsey you're doing well in YouTube.
Yeah, it's YouTube is interesting as far as YouTube instruction goes. I made a video recently talking about Gracie University Online, and there was a lot of pushback about that because I think people were thinking that I was saying like Henner and his brother are bad. I absolutely wasn't saying that at all. I think they are fantastic at jiu-jitsu and fantastic coaches and all that. What I was questioning was like the value of online training, basically, because they have online jiu-jitsu courses and so on. And I've corresponded with a lot of people who've done online training. Some have had very positive experiences. Some have had very negative experiences. But at the same time, you often get what you put into it. You get out of it what you put into it. For example, if you just watch a bunch of videos, that might give you a lot of ideas, might make you feel good at the moment, but it won't teach you martial arts.
I agree. What I want to do is not instructional video. Instructional video, maybe we do a little bit. I want to do video to let people get interest about martial art. Let normal people get interest about martial arts. Let them see the program. Interesting program, very fun. Very many people they love in this program. They think, okay, this guy, this girl, I love them. I love the show, and then they are doing martial arts. Okay, let's try.
So you really are a modern day Bruce Lee, and when I say that, Bruce Lee was very adamant about promoting martial arts through film and television. Like he's very well known as the action hero, but if you look at the man behind the camera, I mean his passion was sharing martial arts through film because he understood, at least at his time, this was the only way to bring this message to large audiences. But we're not limited just by film and TV anymore. I mean, we have the ability to, with a click of a button, anybody with an iPhone, with a smartphone, whatever, can take a high quality video, put it up on the internet, and share a powerful message. And so the idea of getting people interested in martial arts through the internet, man, that's huge. That is huge. I do some martial arts instructional videos on my channel, but I would say like 90% of it is just me talking and answering people's questions. Because that's what people really always come back for. I mean, they like the funny stuff I do sometimes. But what they come back for is hearing me talk and answer their questions and basically coach them. And get them motivated and excited to get in the gym. I always tell them, thanks for watching, get out there and train after every episode.
Actually, I have many good ideas how I emerge to integrate the entertainment to MMA.
Yeah.
I have really good ideas about that, but I want to prepare well.
Yeah.
I want to, I see this also a separate business. I see this is a good business. I think we need to invest more to get return more. I think we have to do a program, a good TV or online series to make everything everything good. So we plan good, we play good, we edit good, we music good. Everything should be good, and everyone take a look on our next program should love it. Yeah, it's so cool. The people. So
the value of entertainment cannot be understated. It just can't, man.
What I mean is, we need to invest amount of money to get amount of money back. So if we invest less, it's so difficult to get big win in our day.
Yeah, I mean it's something that takes resources. I mean, not just financial, but there's emotional capital you got to put into a product.
Yeah.
Like I had an interesting comment. I looked at this morning. I was reading through my YouTube comments, and this guy said, "Your channel is very different from every other YouTube channel that I've watched because I feel like you actually care about what you're saying. Like we are having a conversation. I was like, that is exactly what I'm going for. I want to talk to people. I want to have human interactions. And so I don't want to just be a robot reading a script or something like that. That means nothing to me. So man, the emotional capital, financial capital, any kind of capital you put into your product, man, people can see that. They can feel it.
Okay, great.
So yeah, modern day Bruce Lee, man.
No,
So
it's so big.
with the internet, what would Bruce Lee do with the internet today? I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's a next topic we can talk about.
That is a fascinating question. Like somebody asked me a while back, like if Bruce Lee hadn't died, if he had lived to this day, what would he be doing? Would he be like the greatest UFC fighter ever? And I think he would have made a lot more movies. Because again, that was his passion.
I agree. Yeah.
He would have just made a whole bunch of cool movies. But when the internet came out, when YouTube came out, what would he be doing with that? That is a really interesting question to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, TJ, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you very much.
This was awesome. And for those of you at home on YouTube, on the Chinese interwebs, thank you for watching. Now get out there
and
train.
Bye-bye.